Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, alongside my guy, Mr. Jaevon Toddy, Kaz Johnson of Kazzy Bear TV. And Toddy, we have a special guest joining us, much to our dismay, to troll us 49ers fans here on this podcast. If you could please introduce our guest for us, Jaevon.
Yeah, this is a guy who he called me yesterday. And I was like, well, why are you calling me? Why are you calling me? He's like, hey man, you know what today is, right? He's like, y'all still got it, man. You guys make it happen. You still got Debo. You still got all these other guys. He was telling me y'all still got a chance, man. You still got Fred Warner. He's trying to name all these other guys. But yeah, this is our good friend from a good childhood friend, Mr. Khalil Alston. He's in the building. Packer fan.
Khalil Alston, aka K Faded. Go get your haircut by him. I have several times. Go check him out in Sacramento if you are in the capital of California. Kaz, I know that you're riding high right now as well. We see the Eagles backdrop.
Kaz on top of the world right now.
Are you on top of the world, Kaz?
Kaz is on top of the world right now.
I'm very happy. Finally, that was a game that I'm very satisfied with. Even outside of us having an amazing record before that game I was like, that's what I was waiting for right there. I needed to see that, and it happened on the road. So
yeah, it was a great win, and the win was so great that Kevin wanted to see it in person. He knew what was coming, and so Kevin and his wife Alyssa took a trip down to Southern California this past weekend, and they went and saw Sunday Night Football at SoFi Stadium, and so that's why Kevin is not with us tonight. He will be back with us on Monday, next Monday, for episode number 125/126, depending on if we have an NBA episode this upcoming Friday. But guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. As what Khalil came here to talk about is the fact that the Packers beat the 49ers 38-10 on Sunday. It was the 49ers without Brock Purdy, without Trent Williams, and without Nick Bosa. Those three guys.
Charvarius
Ward, Brandon Ayuk. Shall I go on? You guys get the point. But Packers get revenge against the 49ers for ending their season last year. Khalil, as our resident Packers fan on the panel, this is second, third, fourth time that you've been on the podcast, and every single time it's to troll us 49ers fans. But just how were you feeling yesterday as the Packers absolutely dismantled the Allen? I'm forgetting the dude's first name already. Brandon Allen. I was about to say Kyle Allen. The Brandon Allen led San Francisco 49ers. How did you feel about that, Khalil?
It was a win I already knew that was going to happen. To be honest. I still feel like you guys are a good team. It's just, everybody has to get healthy. You guys got to get hot at the right time. And we'll see you guys down the line, but it was just a win I already knew that we needed. And once we got it, it was like, okay, now it's on to the next. Now we have to try to keep up with the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings in order to get a top seed in the NFC. But I feel like we did what we were supposed to, and that was good. Josh Jacobs, I forget the total stat, but he had 3 touchdowns, which was what we needed, and solidify toughness, and that's what the Niners bring, and I'm glad we were able to do that.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs had a hell of a day yesterday, and one of my fantasy teams was very, very happy about it as he carried me. Well, I thought he was carrying me to a win. Then Saquon Barkley happened. We'll get to that a little bit later. But Jaevon, us 49ers fans, we're down bad right now. It don't feel good. I'm so torn, as I said on last week's episode during my return, that I'm torn because part of me wants to just give up on the season and say, get a top 10 pick. The other part of me sees the fact that the division is still very winnable and they could go on a run, as Khalil was saying. And so now given this loss, Jaevon, from the 49ers led by Brandon Allen, just how are you feeling about the San Francisco 49ers right now?
Yeah, kind of going into the week after losing to Seattle at the last second, and then you're looking at the schedule like, okay, we got to go to Green Bay and we got to go to Buffalo. So you're looking at it like, okay, well, we just lost to Seattle at home at the last second. And again, we probably should have won. And then you're looking like, okay, like a couple of guys dealing with injuries. Nick Bosa was out during that game. And then after the Seahawks game, he said, I'm probably going to miss a couple of weeks. Or it was reported that he was going to miss a couple of weeks. I'm like, all right, we'll be out. Nick Bosa. Then later in the week comes, yeah, Brock's got a shoulder. Well, what do you mean Brock's got a shoulder? We all have shoulders. Well, I don't know what does that mean? Yeah, he can't really throw the ball. But we'll see how the week goes. So that's not good. Oh yeah, and Trent, he's not practicing either. He's gonna be out. Okay. So we're already down Nick Bosa, a guy who just signed for a shit ton of money last year. Trent Williams, arguably the greatest left tackle ever. Hall of Famer for sure. And now Brock can't throw the ball. So I'm like, you're telling me we're going to be rolling out Josh Dobbs and or Brandon Allen. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So Thursday comes along and he tries to throw the ball. He throws a couple of passes, walks off the field. I'm like, that's not good. It's looking like the Brandon Allen show. And, the line before the week started, the Packers were favored by 2. They were already favored. Once the Brock Purdy news came out, that went to like 5.5 Packers. So Vegas was kind of already telling you, hey, this is going to be a shit show. And then, we get to the game. Brandon Allen, he didn't look bad at first. I thought he played well in the first half. I will give him, like, he was not fucking it up like I thought he would be doing it.
But they could hardly move the ball. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like until that touchdown drive to Kittle, like they could not move the ball.
Quarter, like we weren't really able to move the ball in the whole first quarter. Like the Packers were running the ball down our throats. Josh Jacobs looked like Barry Sanders. I wouldn't even say Barry Sanders. He looked more like Bo Jackson because he was just running over everybody, and you couldn't tackle him. Jordan Love was sitting in the pocket. He was just, hey, checking his watch, making sure he's checking his email back there. Like he's got all the time in the world. He's got nothing but time on his hands in the pocket. Romeo Doubs is running wide open. Jaden Reed's doing his thing. Like the Packers were doing everything that they wanted to do. Anything that they wanted to do, they did it. And the Niners weren't doing shit about it. It was just they were getting steamrolled the entire time. I forget what the score was. It was a lot to a little at halftime, and then I don't know if the Niners got the ball. I think the Niners get the ball to start the second half. Debo runs for 87 yards for it only to get called back. And for me, and I'm just like, you know what? When things are starting to go all right, I'm like, okay, we could maybe try and score off this. Bring that on back, player. As our boy Teddy Long used to say back in the day. I just think, and then Brandon Allen's throwing picks, even though it wasn't his fault. Debo was not catching the ball. Ball's going right through it. Brother, we need you to catch that. We're paying you a little bit. You're paid to do. I don't know. I get it. You had a great run you had a great kickoff return, got called back. But I need you to play. We're paying you to play receiver. It's not adding up right now. Brandon Allen, he has the sack fumble, and I'm just like, all right, like he's a backup. What do you expect? Like he hasn't played a game in like 4 years. So it's like, what do you can only expect so much from him. I mean, Jaevon Jennings didn't really get the ball. Christian McCaffrey looks a step slower. I feel like our only reliable receiver in this game was George Kittle. He did whatever he wanted to do. I still think he's an all-pro type of player. But, I mean, the Packers were just better. They looked better. They had better players on the field. And that's tough to say given how good our roster has been over the last couple of years. And yeah, the Packers pretty much did what the Niners usually do to other teams in years past. And there's not really much to it. We got outcoached. We got outplayed. I mean, I did not have high hopes going into this game, but I didn't think it would be this bad. Like, they damn near hung up 40 points on us. So it's a very tough pill to swallow. I'm seeing all these other fans. There's Packer fans out there. There's Raven fans out there. I mean, hell, even Charger fans are happy. And they're all hitting me up saying, what's wrong with your team? I don't know. I mean, hey, man, I just wish – even if Brock played in this game, I don't even know if we win because Brock doesn't play defense. Our defense is atrocious right now. Now, I get we're missing a couple of guys, but I mean, god damn, like, we can't – the middle of the field is wide open every single time. And if we're not doing that, we just got 12 men on the field in back-to-back plays. Our special teams has been the worst special teams, like, in the entire league, I'd say, for a solid, 3 years. Like, it's bad. It's to the point where I don't even want anybody back there. Just touch back. We'll just hope for the best. Ball up top, as some people might say. I mean, on a punt return, I don't just, get away from it. What are we – let's just get away from the ball. I mean, I don't. It's very painful to watch on how bad this San Francisco board. This is the team that I make fun of. This was the type of team that we played like. I would make fun of you for the way that your team played. But now who's wearing the clown mask? I guess it's me and Shaun. It's just so painful to watch. It's like you're just watching the game with no emotion. You're just like, oh, there he goes again. And it's like, where do you go from here? Because you're kind of in the middle. There's as Shaun was saying, you're not bad enough for a number one pick, obviously. But your division is kind of okay, you're 5-6. But the team that's leading the division is 6-5. I'm not saying, hey, because right now they don't look like a playoff team. However, the team in 8th place is also 7-5, and that's the Washington Commanders. So it's not the end of the world, but we need to get healthy and we need to play better because it's the games that we were supposed to win did not happen. Those were the gimme wins. The gimme wins are kind of we're running out of gimme wins. There's the Bills. We got the Bills on our schedule. We got the Lions on our schedule still. The Dolphins are ever since Tua came back, look like a totally different team. So there's a bunch of teams that left over that in these last 6 games are looking to fucking take your head off. And it's okay, you're trying to make the playoffs, but you're playing like shit against the good teams and the bad teams. What happens when you go up against the Bills? Oh, they just beat the Chiefs last week. They're the best team in the league, damn near. What happens when you play the Lions? Lions are going to push your fucking shit in if you play like this. It's like the Niners are favored to miss the playoffs. The Niners haven't been underdogs in 2 years. They haven't been dogs in a game in 2 years. And that's insane to say. To be favored in almost every game that you play in. They haven't been dogs in 2 years. They're you got Brandon Allen out there, and we'll see. But, yeah, if you want to throw some money on the Niners to miss the playoffs, they're minus 130 or something like that. So, it's a very bad scene in San Francisco right now.
Yeah, and as Jaevon was alluding to there, the 49ers were the betting underdog for the first time since 2022, which broke a streak of 36 consecutive regular season games that the 49ers were favored in. And so it ain't looking good in Santa Clara. Kaz, last week, Kevin was really enjoying the fact that Geno Smith had that last-second touchdown to beat the 49ers. Now things are much, much worse as the 49ers lose by 28 points. Are you just what are your emotions like when it comes to the 49ers right now, Kaz? Because they aren't necessarily a competitor of the Eagles. So just I'm curious to know how you feel about the 49ers this season.
You guys are fortunate, while not being fortunate because of your division. It's all about yeah, all right, let me tell you why I'm laughing, okay? Because I glanced up and for some reason either my computer got a little glitchy for a second or the lighting hit Toddy's face the right way for a second, but I thought I saw a tear. A gleam of tear. And not yet. I was like, my man's down bad, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's only week 13 right now. Like, we got to chill out. But now what I'll say is you guys are in a very unfortunate position. And it's because of the fact that this division is still up for grabs right now. If you guys were in a different division, pretty much any other division of football besides the AFC South, which is still AFC South and the South, AFC and NFC South with the Texans losing, you guys, your season's over. So you played bad football. You guys are very injured. I'm the kind of person that once a team has not just one, but like two or more significant injuries, especially on like the same side of the ball. And what I mean by that is obviously, still got to talk about it. Like, no Ayuk, it does factor in. CMC coming back, he's still trying to find his group. It's not like he came back and you can see that he's not the same CMC, but like you're trying to plug in a random quarterback into Brock Purdy's system. We don't even know if this guy's even a Brock Purdy type quarterback. I don't know anything about him. So it just doesn't usually work in your favor, but it's not the end of the world just because these guys, from what we know so far, aren't done, Now for Brock Purdy, I'm not sure if you guys have been paying attention to his injury, but it's a labrum injury, which is, if I read correctly, it's where like it's a ligament that connects the shoulder into like the socket, and it's like kind of big. And I guess it's either one way or the other. It's either season ending or it's going to be like, a week off, and that's about it. Because depending on how bad the tear is. So like if Brock Purdy doesn't have to get surgery, obviously, I think you guys will be fine. I think you guys can win a good chunk of games throughout the rest of the season. Also depends on, you guys brought up you have to play Detroit and you have to play Buffalo, right?
Yep.
Okay, you do understand that Buffalo might clinch early. Now I'm not sure what week that is, but they might.
We play them literally next week.
So. Right. And then what about also? And then what about
world to see our ass get whooped?
And then what about Detroit when you guys play them? I assumed, as I said, I assumed one or the other. There's a good chance they're sitting the starters. Now, what stinks is if that was the opposite, you guys would be in a better position because more likely than not, unless the Eagles lose a couple games, Detroit's not going to sit their starters until they solidify that one seed.
Or they're just going to try the hardest that they can and try to get that number one seed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though, because the only two teams that have a chance to take the one seed from Detroit, which I think the realistic one is us and the Vikings right now. Nobody else is going to. The Packers, but you guys are still behind the Vikings right now. So realistically,
don't worry about taking care of your division.
Wait, have the Packers played the Vikings yet?
Yeah.
Yes, we lost.
Yes.
But we play them at the end of the season. So
yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
So
2 weeks we got the Lions. So
yeah. So and they might, but either way, if Detroit's in a position where they don't have to play the last football game or whatever, because they're 2 games up on the Packers right now. The Vikings maybe plummet and maybe Philadelphia loses a game or two. You guys might look out there. So like what I'm saying is, yeah, you guys have 2 very hard teams for your schedule, but you're doing it without your guys there. So yeah, you're in a win now situation. But like I said, you're fortunate because you're losing, okay, when you have significant injuries. Like, it's not just like you're missing, your right tackle. Not saying that's not a big deal, but there's a big difference between missing that guy and missing Brock Purdy, who is pretty much that entire offense when you guys don't have CMC. Okay, so it's not a big deal. You got your ass kicked. You're supposed to get your ass kicked. Let's just call it what it is because of the situation. You're on the road. The Packers are a damn good team. Okay. And then you throw in some random guy that none of us even know who the hell he is. So, yes, 10-38, final score, defensive dominant game. That's what you do to quarterbacks that don't know what the hell they're doing. You just scheme around it. Like, okay, this guy, who is this guy? Look, we're gonna put this guy in a situation where he needs to win the game with his arm. It ain't going to happen. And then we're going to obviously rely on CMC to be the CMC of old, and come out and have the game of his life to beat us. You guys could have had Brock Purdy back. You guys could have had your entire team back. I don't think you're winning this game. I'm sorry. Like 10-38. And as defensive dominant, I mean, Jordan Love only had to throw the ball 23 times. Only completed 13 passes. That's how you know you got your ass with defensively right there. When a quarterback doesn't have to do anything. And even with Josh Jacobs, it's not like he had a monster game. He scored a lot of touchdowns, but we've seen plenty of running backs go for 100 yards, 106 yards. It's not like he did something Saquon Barkley, like not to throw shade on Josh Jacobs, but it just looks on like statistically. And if you watch the game, it's just like the Niners could not do anything on offense, like literally nothing on offense that mattered. That's a defensive dominant game. So even with your guys coming back, you're not going to stop Josh Jacobs from probably putting up the same amount of yards on the ground. Probably still going to score a couple touchdowns. And on top of that, you know, Jordan Love, if he needs to, which he didn't have to, he's going to throw the ball a lot more than 23 times. So just a game that you guys probably was hoping and praying you'd win, but the odds were against you. Even before the Brock Purdy injury, -2 on the road, that's not a bad, like those aren't bad odds when you're the underdog, or when you guys are 2-point underdogs, but you're still underdogs against a very good team. Like you guys were underdogs for a reason. So I think it's just one that you guys should put past you. And as an Eagles fan, I'm not as a football fan, I'm not a fan of teams being hurt to lose. I don't like that. I like to beat teams when they're at their best. That's why I hate the idea of the Cowboys not having Dak Prescott right now as an Eagles fan. I don't want to beat you with no Dak. I want to beat the shit out of you with Dak and everybody. I want everybody there and for us to roll you. So I think that you guys are more okay than what you guys think. It's just those 2 games in your schedule that's scaring the shit out of you. And one of those games, like I said, you might not even have to play them at their full power, and you guys not be knocking on the door of either a division, which I think is what you guys should go for, is division. Don't think about anything else. Go for that division.
We don't have a fucking choice.
You might be knocking on the door of a 7 seed potentially if the rest of the teams in the NFC start to shit the bed. Somebody has to do it. These teams that are winning right now, we can't all win. So somebody's got to start losing. So whether it be somebody, but you already seen it right now with the Commanders. Commanders start up hot. What, they lose like 3 straight? All of a sudden, that's one team kind of slowly, going down the playoff rankings. If they mess around too much, they can end up only having about 8 wins, 9 wins.
That's it. Play the Eagles, and they still got to play the Cowboys again.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where right now you guys probably are like, what the hell are we going to do? But it's like, really, you guys aren't in as bad of a situation as you could be, because teams are going to start losing games. And for my sake, I hope it's the Lions. But you guys got beat down. It's just one of those situations where just bad timing to not have your guy in there. But at the same time, is it really? Because with Brock Purdy, you're still not winning this game, guys. You're not winning this game.
Kaz, I appreciate you saying that you wanted to see teams get beat at full strength, because as we know in the past, that hasn't always been the case with the 49ers, especially when it comes to the Eagles. So I'm glad to hear you say that. And I would agree that I don't think even the 49ers at full strength, I don't think they win this game, because the Packers wanted to get their lick back. And just like the saying is, oh, Pack is back. Well, the Pack wanted to get their lick back. And I think that'll be the case with the Lions as well. The 49ers don't play them until week 17. So that could help them out if the Lions somehow run away with the NFC and they're able to lock it up. But it'll be interesting, because I think the Lions want to get their lick back too. Like, that's the one thing about being a successful playoff team, is everyone wants to get revenge against you. And so I guess we'll just have to wait and see with that. Even just looking at the rest of the 49ers schedule as they stand at 5-6 entering December, because Sunday's game is on December 1st. I think they lose to the Bills, beat the Bears, hopefully beat the Rams at home. They would have to play well to beat the Dolphins, unless Tua gets concussed again and his career is over. And I'm going to take a second to knock on wood, because I don't want to see that happen. And then obviously Lions at home week 17, and then at the Cardinals to wrap up the season. I think that the 49ers finish the season 9-8, and that's me being optimistic. So they would have to go 4-2 to end the season. It'll be really interesting. And Kaz, just to touch on one other thing that you said, is us 49ers fans were hoping and praying that we would win this game. I mean, that's kind of how I felt before all the injuries. But Toddy, if I may quote you from your pick'em, you said, "God help me, 49ers." and so we seriously were hoping and praying Khalil, before we move on to our next game and really hear what Kaz has to say about his Eagles, and also Kevin is tuned in right now wherever he is. He says go Birds, and so we're going to get to the Birds next. But Khalil, before we move on, I wanted to ask you, just what's the ceiling of this Packers team? Like, can they actually compete for a division title? I don't think so. Maybe you feel differently. I do think that the Packers team is probably a playoff team, but where they go from there, I'm not sure, because it's very top heavy in the NFC, but also 60% of the top 5 teams in the NFC come from the North, as Toddy would like to say with an F. And so just what do you think about the ceiling for this Packers team?
I think we have a real good shot of winning the division. Only just based off the sole fact that the Vikings still have to play the Lions again, and we still have another game with the Vikings, and we still have another game with the Lions. The Lions beat us, but they didn't beat us. We had too many penalties. We were an undisciplined team. Too many too many little things that could be fixed. That way we could have won that game at home, but them being more disciplined and better coached than us, they got the victory. But do I think we could still win our division? Yes. But is it realistic? Probably not. Looking at their schedule, they have an easy schedule. But yeah, I think we're a solid team that could potentially get upset in the playoffs. Maybe make it to the Super Bowl. Maybe. But being a Packer fan for the last 10 years, I don't know. You're going to have to show me. You have to show me before I believe it.
Yeah, they're not going to have the Cowboys to pick on in the playoffs this year. And so I guess they're going to have to find a new target. Maybe it'll be the Commanders. Maybe it'll be the 49ers. I guess we'll have to wait and see. As now we keep things moving here on episode number 124 of Stats Over Politics. Shaun Holko alongside Kaz Johnson, Khalil Alston, and Jaevon Toddy. So, Kaz, we see the Eagles hat, and as Kevin said earlier, go Birds, as the Eagles beat the Rams 37-20 on Sunday Night Football. Fly, Eagles, fly. Kaz, the last time I was on this podcast with you, which was a while ago, about a month ago, after I had to take a leave just during my transition here to Sonora. But the last time that we talked about the Eagles was right after they beat the Browns, and that started the winning streak that they're now on. And you were not feeling good about the Eagles at this point. How do you feel about your Eagles now?
Like I said at the beginning of this video, this is what I've been waiting for. Not necessarily the score, just the cleanliness of the game offensively. Very clean, very, very clean. I will say one thing: Jalen Hurts still pissed me off this game. You want to know why? Because I needed 20 more yards out of him to win a lot of money. A lot of money. The man could not throw for more than 179 yards. I took his low end of just 200 plus his alternate yards passing, and he couldn't do it. Couldn't do it, man. And to flip $5 into about $1,200, and that being the deciding factor hurts. But outside of that, the best that I've seen this team. If you look at the Packers box score, like I said, Jordan Love, he only threw 23 times. Only completed I don't think he even completed no more than 13 passes, something like that. Not a lot at all. But when you do that and you're sharp and you're not turning the ball over and your running game is putting up 255. No, sorry. One piece of your running game puts up 255 yards on the ground. You can never be mad at that. You can never be mad at that. I think we saw probably the honest best NFL running back that we've seen since God, I don't even know who. And what I mean by that is I know Christian McCaffrey. I know.
Oh,
Christian
yeah.
McCaffrey,
Listen,
now. Would you do it?
Listen what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
Christian McCaffrey, up until what I saw last night, was the best running back in the NFL overall for years.
Oh, no,
years.
Saquon's the best running back in the NFL.
Saquon is the most talented running back I have ever seen.
Wow.
I'm talking like I witnessed LaShawn McCoy. You guys know I'm the grandpa in the group, right? So I witnessed prime LaShawn McCoy. I also witnessed Brian Westbrook when I was a kid. One of my first running back jerseys is Deuce Staley, which you guys probably don't know who the hell that even is.
No, I know who Deuce Staley is.
Okay, so
yeah.
So seeing Saquon do what he's doing this season, it's just one of I had a flashback to where I was like, I remember when he got drafted and they were showing highlights of him at Penn State, obviously, and they were doing like the two visuals where it's like him doing a movement and Barry Sanders doing a movement, and them saying this is probably the closest thing that we're ever going to see to a Barry Sanders, and he's bigger and stronger and probably faster, but Barry was more elusive and in his time was just unstoppable. But he goes to the Giants, and then the Giants abuse him. They don't build around him the right way, and we sit there, said, let him know we back up for real. You already know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, they don't use him correctly. They don't build around him, and he comes to Philadelphia behind the best offensive line in football. Has been for quite a few years now, and you guys are seeing this guy possibly be the first 2,000-yard rusher in like over a decade. I don't think that Derrick Henry did it, if I'm not mistaken.
I will fact check that, and I'm glad.
Yeah, please do.
That name, because even bias aside, when you were saying that statement about best running backs you've seen, Derrick Henry's the name that popped up in my mind. Not even CMC, honestly.
Yeah, no.
I'll fact check that as you finish your thoughts.
And I'll get to that. I don't want to make this a whole Saquon Barkley. You know, it's kind of hard not to talk about when it comes to this game. But again, listen to my words very carefully. Yeah, listen to my words very carefully.
Sorry, let me
go ahead.
One moment. In 2020, Derrick Henry had 2,027 rushing yards.
All right, and then before that,
1540. For someone else, I'll find out who else.
Yeah. I want to know. There was some stat where it's like I think that was a while back. If that's the last one, but regardless, like I said, choose my words for exactly what I'm saying. Visually, I have never seen a better running back. Derrick Henry might be able to put up a lot of yards. But when it comes to what a running back is, I'm watching Saquon do everything. He turns shit to sugar on the regular. He can catch out of the backfield. He has insane vision, like in the depths of hell when it comes to a collapsed pocket. He just I lost for words, man. You know what I mean? And I hate to say this because I'm an Eagles fan, so of course anybody who doesn't know me would probably say, well, of course you're being biased. I'm being as unbiased as I can. I have never seen a running back look like that. From the stupid backwards hurdle thing that he did out of nowhere to this shit here, bro. It's like, come on, man. It's like, come on. I'm plugging and playing other running backs. I'm like, what if that was Derrick Henry there? I'm like, he wouldn't have done that. What if that was CMC there? He probably would have done that, but at the same time, probably not in the same way. You know, I'm trying to find ways to put other running backs above Saquon Barkley, actually just pure talent-wise. I can't. Not right now. I can't. So seeing this game, Jalen losing me money, about as happy as I've been all season long. This was my favorite win all season long. We are 9-2. We've only lost 2 games this season, and this game is the one that's made me the happiest out of every game. Even week 1 against the Packers. It's week 1. Anything can happen. You know, you see teams that lose week 1 all the time that should have no business losing, and teams winning that have no business winning. Week 1 is always a coin toss. You don't know. Nobody knows who's going to do what. Okay? Then you see us, you know, beating like the Browns, and, you know, we beat the Bengals. That was a fun game too, but at the same time, beating the Bengals, you know, there are still things that I saw where I was like, God, like, still getting bailed out. And then I see this game. And again, Jalen Hurts, 108 passer rating, going against Matthew Stafford. Got Quentin Mitchell on Puka Nacua. Only had 1 catch for I think 15 yards when he shadowed him. All Puka's yards came from the opposite side where either Darius Slay was or Isaiah Rodgers was covering him when Slay had to go out. I'm like, defense played lights out. Brandon Graham had one of his best games of his career against the Rams, especially this season before he got hurt. I believe on PFF he was actually ranked had the highest grade out of all of our players on our team, even over Saquon, if I'm not mistaken, because of how effective he was with pressures, QB hits, everything. So everybody from the rookies to the vets was playing phenomenal. It was about as clean as the game could get when it comes to the Eagles. And This is what I wanted to see right now, because you remember what happened last year this time of year. You remember exactly what happened. And, it doesn't matter who we played. It doesn't matter that it was the Rams. Yes, the Rams have beat some really good teams, though. And the Rams were at home. So the Rams are one of those teams where I would not want to play the Rams if you have a game that's dependent on like you making the playoffs. I would not want to play them, because at any given time, Stafford might go off for 350, 3 touchdowns. Kyron Williams might give you a pair of touchdowns as well. And what do you do when they put up 34 points on you? You know, so they're a team where they may not have the best defense, even though the defense actually is playing really good this season for the most part. But like, they may not have the greatest defense of all time, but their offense is kind of like Detroit, where in any given second, man, if they get hot, you're not going to stop that offense. So the Rams were what I felt a formidable opponent. Philadelphia, the last few weeks on this streak of 6 games, like I said, not really the cleanest football and offense. Defense has been bailing us out left and right. And this was the one I'm like, okay, this is a true, not just a playoff team. This is a team that can make a run right here. And so we got a true test next week against Baltimore. And then we're also in Baltimore. I'm just letting you guys know right now, we win that game. I think that we're probably going to be heavy favors to take the NFC, even over Detroit. Even if Detroit wins out and they get the 1 seed, I think that we're going to be knocking on the door of literally being favors to win the NFC if we end up taking down the Baltimore Ravens next week. So just shout out to the Eagles, man. Cleanest game I've seen in a long time. So I'll say, even outside of all the wins, cleanest game I've seen in a long time.
Well, I'm sure that Khalil will be hoping that the Eagles get the 1 seed, because that means that the Packers might have gotten a win against the Lions. So I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. And a friend of the pod who went to high school with Toddy, Khalil, and I, Rakeem, also noted Eagles fan.
Thank you.
He nailed it there. As he said, the last person to do it was Adrian Peterson before
Yes.
Derrick Henry. And before Adrian Peterson, it was Chris Johnson. Man, that's a blast from the past. And then 2003, Jamal Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens. 98, Terrell Davis of the Denver Broncos. And then we get into that category that you were alluding to earlier, Kaz. 97, Barry Sanders did it. 84, Eric Dickerson did it. And 1973, O.J. Simpson did it. Long before any other nefarious activities. The one thing that I will say was most impressive about this list is the fact that O.J. Simpson did it in 14 games. Everyone else did it in 16. And so that should be noted. So now, Toddy, I wanted to bring you back here up on the screen just to ask you about what do you think about the Eagles beating the 49ers division rival? Because usually in our group chat, anytime that anyone plays the Eagles, Kevin's like, oh, welcome to all the fans of insert team name here, and Commanders fans, Rams fans. I was actually rooting for the Eagles in this game just because the division games actually matter now. Like the 49ers division opponents playing insert team name here, it matters to me now. And so I was actually rooting for the Eagles, but how did you feel about this game, Toddy?
Well, I just want to say that Saquon Barkley is on my fantasy team. It's well documented on this show that I am the best fantasy player in the entire world. This is my first time ever.
Yeah, second time.
First time ever drafting.
There you
fantasy.
go. There you
First
go.
time ever drafting.
There's that asterisk.
First time ever drafting, being a real GM, getting my hands dirty. I was on autopilot last year. You know, man, I just want to say James was up 50 points on me before Sunday Night Football started. 50 points. He was up 50 points. I had Puka Nacua as well. So I had Puka, I had Saquon, and Lamar Jackson is also on my team. So I was like, Lamar don't even got to play it down. And
hold on, you gotta tell the audience what's the name of your first place team? I'm in third place, but what's the name of your first?
The first place team in first place, Baltimore University. We know ball on the side.
Yes,
we know all the scouts. We make trades that people say that there's certain people on the show that said I was only going to win 2 games.
Kevin,
I'm in first place now. That's all I got to say. But let's just get back to the game. I mean, the Eagles were kind of just had their feet up the entire game. They were down 7-3 at one point. But I don't think they were ever really worried. Saquon had like the game of the year, like from anybody. Like he
Yeah.
had 255 yards rushing.
It was Jamar Chase before that, and now it's definitely Saquon.
Yeah, so I mean, like he's like an MVP candidate. I don't think a running back's won MVP since Adrian Peterson, right? Was he the last player to do it? So I mean, gosh, just look at the team. They're night and day. Just like they didn't even have Devonta Smith, and like it was like, okay, like go ahead, we'll just give the ball to Saquon more. Like, I just think this Eagle team is very dangerous. One of the best teams in the league. I am just speechless on how crazy it is. Just the Eagles' offensive line has always been really good, and when you get a guy like Saquon Barkley he literally, like for pennies, like he walked nothing. He's like, hey, they don't want me no more.
Number one offensive line. Sorry, I had to just correct you there.
Okay. Yeah, so the Eagles' offensive line, one of the best in the league, as we all know. You get a guy like Saquon Barkley to come from the rival team in New York and like, oh yeah, they don't want me over there no more. They're just, you got.
Hey, how about you go test the market and give me your word that you're gonna circle back to us?
Yeah, just let us know whatever it is, and then let us know what they're offering, and we'll try and match it. All right, here's the offer. Yeah, man, I don't know. I can't pay a running back that much. Oh, you couldn't do that, huh? What about the quarterback? What about him too? You guys? Oh, he's gone too. Okay, got you. So it's a shit show over there in New York. Saquon is you just never see him this happy. Look how happy he is. You see him dancing in the end zone with AJ Brown. He is so happy. He's doing TikTok dances in the end zone. He's that he never knew life like this could be this good. He never knew what it was like. And all the New York fans are kicking themselves. John Mara is like, he might fire Joe Shane. I saw a report saying that everybody might be out of there. We're cleaning house. And I mean, for him to go from literally a 9-day situation, and Howie Roseman, one of the best GMs in the league, as we all know, for him to get a guy like Saquon in the offseason and just add to what they already had. Their offense was already pretty potent. It kind of just showed last night. It was either Saquon or AJ Brown. Saquon, AJ Brown. One of those guys was going to get the ball. AJ obviously had a touchdown. Saquon was just all over the place last night. Like I already mentioned, he had 46 points in fantasy, which is insane. Yeah, man, this Eagle team, it's the Eagles and Lions. I feel like those are the top two teams in the NFC right now. Yeah, man, I mean, they beat the shit out of them. Like, the Rams are like a solid team. I wouldn't say they're like one of the best teams in the league or anything like that, but Rams are a solid team. They kicked the shit out of them yesterday. So, and I mean, we had a bunch of guys in attendance. Kevin was there. One of my friends, or shout out to Salvador, listened to the show. He was there. My boy Elijah. There's a bunch of Eagles fans there. It was like an Eagle takeover. So, and Kevin Hart was there. I asked Kev if he saw Kevin Hart. He was like, I run into him. So, a bunch of Eagle fans were in attendance last night.
One other Eagle fan that I'll throw in there is my friend Matthew Pearson. He was at that game last night.
With these cheap tickets, everybody was there last night.
Hey, man, those
Sunday night football.
No, they weren't cheap. They wasn't cheap.
It's Sunday night football.
It's just Sunday night football. You know what I'm saying? Prime time. You know, it's a good game to go to.
Wasn't at the game.
Shit, your boy broke nowadays, brother. I can't. I went to all them games in the last 4 or 5 years, and now I'm like, let me chill out this season.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Just with before I moved out of my mom's house when I was 24, I used to just spend all my money on jerseys and game tickets, and I would just spend my money willy-nilly. I have bought one jersey in the last 2 years, and it was because there was a sale, and I got myself a Breanna Stewart WNBA New York Liberty jersey.
You deserve a shot.
Hey, I appreciate it. Champions. And I got it before, so ain't no bandwagon around here. Not that was ever a concern. Anyways, Khalil, I wanted to ask you, as obviously noted Packers fan, Are you concerned about the Eagles? Because we know that the Lions are in your division, but are you concerned about the Eagles? Maybe not before the playoffs, but if you have to see this Eagles team led by Saquon Barkley and the number one offensive line in football, and with how that defense has been humming, are you concerned, Khalil, as a Packers fan of these Eagles?
I'm gonna keep it 100. No, but I'm going to say, and here's why. They still have Jalen Hurts as quarterback. He's not that accurate with the football, and we all know he's not. There's a reason Tua started over him in college at one point. But am I nervous about Saquon? Hell yeah. He just put up 300 yards by himself. 300 yards. No one is doing that. No one in their right mind is putting up 300 yards by himself. And that defense is solid. So that week 1 loss we had,
Did Darius Slay get hurt last night?
I think we could. Huh?
He did. Concussion. Right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But I think they're the, and it pains me to say, they're the best team in the NFL. Granted, just not even based off of the Detroit Lions record. They're better than the Detroit Lions. I'm gonna be solid. Detroit Lions, they're a little shaky at times. They haven't really, they've been blowing out teams, but they're blowing out teams they're supposed to blow out. They're not really beating teams like they're supposed to. Like, they beat us by 10 points. And at that, it was self-inflicted wounds from us, which led to them beating us. No excuses there, but they beat us. They got the dub. But the Eagles are literally the best team in the league, in my opinion. And that's saying why.
All right. Well said. Kaz, for the audio-only listeners, you decided to put on your stunner shades. And I know that you got to get going as you're...
No, I'm sticking around. No, fuck that. I'm staying.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
I ain't going nowhere.
All right. Khalil got Kaz feeling good. What led you to putting on those sunglasses? Just the fact that the Eagles are riding high right now?
Because I'm tired of being nice to opposing teams fans. Like, I tried, bro. I said week 1, we didn't, week 1, we won, but it's week 1, anything can happen. I take it back now. No, we already beat these motherfuckers, bro. So we already beat the Packers. We know what Jordan Love is going to bring to us. You know what I'm saying? We know who Josh Jacobs is. Our defense has only gotten better as the season, just better every week. And guess what? Our team found a true identity at the right time.
Are you confident in Jalen?
I'm confident in Jalen Hurts throwing 15 to 20 times, putting up about 150 to 170 yards,
how many picks?
0 interceptions, 1 touchdown.
That he throws picks. He hasn't been throwing picks lately.
Yeah, no, he has.
Listen, Jordan Love leads the league in interceptions. So I ain't trying to hear that. But
I'm confident in Jalen Hurts 110%.
We're still winning.
He's already been to a Super Bowl. He's a seasoned vet now. You know what I'm saying? He's already been there. That's we may not won the Super Bowl, but we got there. I don't remember the last time the Packers. I think last time y'all was there is when Aaron Rodgers.
If the playoffs were to start today, would you guys play the Packers in round 1?
We are the.
You guys are.
Yes, think we would.
They're the 2 seed.
No,
they're the 2 seed, right?
Well, it depends if we. Yeah, we're 2 seed. We're 2 seed. You guys are the 5 right now.
All right, then we play the Vikings. We'll be playing the Vikings or something.
Okay. 2-7. So you guys play the Commanders then. If the playoffs were to start today.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Nope. Eagles are the 2, Packers are the 6. So yes, you would play.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I was
play
wrong.
7.
Forgive me. I forgot that the
2 plays to 7.
First round bye. So yeah, Toddy, you nailed it.
Yeah, 2 plays to 7.
It'd be an Eagles and Commanders matchup right now.
There we go.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I know we ain't gonna spend all the time up on the Eagles right now, but I'm just saying, for you to say that you ain't scared of us, you got to give us more respect than that.
We're not scared. We're not scared of y'all. But listen, y'all did y'all thing week 1. Y'all got the victory. Can't deny it. But
we gonna see.
We both teams played sloppy, and the score was what? You guys won by 5 points. 5, right? If I'm
In
correct,
Brazil.
Yeah, in Brazil.
5 points, right?
Yeah.
Jordan. Yeah,
And
we're not doing
it
that
took
again.
it
We're
took
not
it
doing
took
that
Hurts
again.
throwing like 2 interceptions. It took
We
Hurts
found
having a
out
real
our
bad
identity
game.
too. We found out our identity as well.
Uh-huh.
We're running it down your throat. I don't
No,
think anybody's
that's
fighting.
actually that's what we're gonna do actually because we have a Saquon.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, but-
We got Josh Jacobs. We got Josh Jacobs.
Hold on.
Hey,
Listen.
Oh,
well,
Listen,
Khalil,
listen.
I know that you wanted to say one other thing, and Kaz, you as well, but I will say, just to play devil's advocate here, Khalil, I don't think that you can just call Jacobs Josh. You can refer to Barkley simply as Saquon, so that is a significant difference.
Yeah, you're talking about we got Josh. I'm like, Josh who? Josh Dobbs,
Allen?
Joshua
Come on,
Kelly, Josh Allen.
We only have one Josh that matters. We only have
But if you
one
were to
Josh
take
that matters.
but if you were to take Josh and just mold him into Saquon with the same name, and we said Josh, you know who we're talking about. So there's levels to this. There's levels to this.
Instagram name is Saquon.
You're right. Saquon is the best back in the NFL right now. Saquon
Oh, yeah.
by far is the best running back in the NFL.
I kind of want to play them,
We
man. I
have a
kind of want
top
to play
3
them.
back as well.
I
We
kind of
have
want
a
to play
top 3
them.
back as well, right? Josh is 3rd on this list of running back.
You're right.
I'm not worried about it.
By a
We
large
have
margin.
weapons. Y'all have weapons. Oh, that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
I kind of
And-
want to play the Packers, but I got bigger fish to fry in the playoffs. I want that one seed.
Listen. This is how I know we're a better team than what most people think. We had a backup starting for us for 3 games straight and won all 3 games. Can you guys?
I'll give you that.
Can you guys say the same?
Can't right now. Jalen Hurts been playing all the games every week, you know.
Oh, okay. And guess what? Jalen Hurts
0-1
the bed.
for us.
Hey, you know what? If we don't get that 1 seed from Detroit, I'm cool with that. Packers, Eagles, you know what I'm saying? If you guys, well, actually, you guys had to be the 7th seed, so it wouldn't happen. But if for some reason it turns out that we play in the playoffs, I'm gonna remember this. I gotta remember this one.
I hope for either sake, if we do, I hope I come back and weather the outcome. If I'm on here talking or you on here talking, I will take it.
I'll just say this before you move on, Shaun. I think you should hope to not see us in the playoffs and just keep it at that. Pray, just hope that you don't see, because it's going through the link. And
what did Ric Flair say? If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. I'd rather beat the best.
Fair enough. He said, "Woo."
Well, I, for one, would welcome that matchup because that's when Toddy and I could just sit back. Our team probably won't even be in the playoffs, so we could just sit back, get our popcorn, and enjoy as you guys just go back and forth. And Khalil, you know that you're always welcome here on the program. And so if/when that time comes, I look forward to it. As we keep things moving here on episode 124 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon, Toddy, Kaz Johnson, and Khalil Alston. Guys, we got one more game that we're going to get to in depth, and then we will close things out with our speedy Week 12 NFL recap. The final game, I figured we already covered one team in the NFC West. We covered 2 teams in the NFC West. Let's just wrap it up by talking about the one game that had 2 NFC West teams going up against each other, as the Seattle Seahawks hosted the division-leading Arizona Cardinals. As entering Week 12, 3 teams in the division were 5-5. The Cardinals were 6-4. And now we have 2 teams that are 6-5 and 2 teams that are 5-6, as the Seahawks beat the Cardinals 16-6. And so rather than dissecting this game in total, and by the way, shout out to Grey Wolf, who also nailed that Ric Flair quote, to be the man, you got to beat the man, Ric Flair. And so rather than diving into this game I'm going to start things off with you, Toddy. Who is winning the NFC West as of Week 12? We're 2/3 through the regular season. If you had to vote right now, take that bias out of your heart. If you had to vote right now, with 6 weeks to go, who is winning the NFC West and why?
I've got no idea. All these teams, they beat each other. The Niners beat the Seahawks. Seahawks beat the Niners. Seahawks beat the Cardinals. Cardinals beat the Niners. Rams beat the Niners. So it's like the Niners are going to definitely need a lot of help. they got to win out damn near all of their games. I don't think it's going to be the Rams. I feel like their momentum's a little bit dead. I thought it would have been the Cardinals. But the team that looks like they have the best shot is either Seattle or the Niners. Seattle has beaten the Cardinals and the Niners. The Niners lost to both Seattle and the Cardinals. So I feel like all the tiebreakers are going to lean towards Seattle if they continue to win out. But it's like, I think Seattle plays, who do they play next week? I think they play, I'm not sure who they play. Shaun could probably pull up a schedule on who they play next week. But it's so tough, man. This used to be one of the better divisions of football. Now it's looking like one of the worst, besides the AFC South, which is like.
Ooh. Seahawks got an easy one. They play in New York or New Jersey against the Jets. And then the week after, though, is where it gets important. I apologize for the stuttering. So the Seahawks play on the road against the Jets, and somehow the Jets are favored in that game right now.
Where's that game at? New York?
In New York.
The Jets were once upon a time, they were favored on Halloween against Houston. Houston had a winning record. So, those games can always get weird against the National Football League. So,
and the Jets.
Houston was hurt, though, that game, and they're on the road. That's when they didn't have Nico or I think they only had Tank that game. Like, literally, I don't think even Joe Mixon. I don't even think.
And Nico Collins didn't play, and Stephon just tore his ACL. Yeah. So,
the rest of the season gets tough, though, for the Seahawks. I'll just add, after that Jets matchup, Seahawks and Cardinals play again, this time in Arizona. Then the Seahawks host Khalil's Packers. They host the Minnesota Vikings, who aren't no scrubs, obviously, at 9-2. Then the Seahawks play in Chicago against your Bears, Toddy. And then they play in LA against the Rams to conclude the season. So it'll be interesting to see. But Toddy, if you could, who do you have winning the NFC West?
I'm going to still say the Niners. They just got to get healthy. It's going to be tough, man. Like, just the way that it has not looked pretty the way that they've been playing. I feel like to win this division, you got to go 10-7. That's what I feel like is realistic. 9-8 is kind of pushing it, but there's no telling on how, the carnage of this division is going to look like by the end of the season. Like I said, these teams beat up on each other, but I feel like 10-7 gets the win or gets the division crown, and I feel like that's what the Niners are going to have to end up doing. I think once upon a time, the Niners, they didn't win the division, but it came down to the last game of the year against the Rams a few years ago. I think it was like 2-3 years ago, when they were fighting for their playoff lives pretty much. And I think they either needed the Falcons to win and beat somebody, or they had to beat the Rams. And I remember at halftime, they were down. The Rams or the Falcons were getting like blown out at halftime. It was like, hey, it's all on you. So I'm going to still say go with the Niners to win the division still.
I love that you're going with the Niners, but I guess since our guy Gary isn't with us anymore, I'll be the devil's advocate again. You guys might have seen I've been drinking this red Gatorade that indicates the team that I'm picking, and it's unfortunately not the 49ers. I'm pretty dead inside when it comes to the 49ers right now. And so I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals get to that 10-7 mark that you have been alluding to, Toddy. I think that the 49ers finished right on the outside looking in with a 9-8 record, because the biggest thing, like I've taken just in this short amount of time, I've taken a look at all four teams' remaining schedules. And there's a lot of division matchups. But the thing that stands out to me about the Cardinals' remaining schedule is two absolute cupcake games. And I know, given what happened with Kansas City this past weekend, you can't necessarily say this anymore, but the Cardinals do have the Patriots at home, and then they play the Panthers in Carolina. Again,
that could be a trap game.
That could be a trap game because, the Chiefs almost got trapped, and the Chiefs almost lost their second game in a row. But the Cardinals, to me, are a team that take care of the lesser teams, and then you've got to see if they're for real against real contenders. But to me, I think the Cardinals win this division. Toddy has the 49ers. Khalil, what about you? Who do you have winning the NFC West, and why after the Seahawks beat the Cardinals 16-6?
I still say it's the 49ers. Just based off of that you guys are hurt and that you guys are the most battle tested. You guys definitely been in this situation before. If I'm not mistaken, that was a 2021 season or 2020 season. One of the two seasons.
2021.
Yeah, you guys were down and out, down on your luck, and then somehow you guys sneak into the playoffs, upset a couple teams. I still believe you guys are that team. I just feel like a couple of players. I'm not gonna say a couple. One player, Deebo Samuel, he needs to step up. He's getting paid a lot of money. He only has one touchdown on the season. Key drops last week. He just needs to step up. Everybody else is doing their part. Defense obviously needs to step up. But if we look at when I called Toddy, our conversation was you guys can still sneak into the playoffs. You just need some help. You guys got to get right. You got to get hot at the right time, and this is the time. I feel like you guys may maybe upset the Bills, but that's a stretch. That's a bit of a stretch, but I think you guys can
Kaz,
take
are you
care of
able
the
to
ball.
look up what the line of that game is?
49ers.
You guys,
Niners and Bills, or Niners and
So the Bills are. Sorry, I jumped ahead of you, Kaz. The Bills are favored by 6.5 points right now.
God damn.
The total is 45.5 points. So that's basically saying that
They're saying that Brock's going to win. That's what it is. I feel like if Brock gets announced that he plays this week, that line of drops.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's the labor room. It's like literally like if he doesn't play, that's what the line is. It's based off of that because there's been no like updates on that at all. It's just like day to day.
So, Kaz, that's 2 votes for the 49ers, 1 vote for the Cardinals. Are you going to switch things up and go with the Seahawks or Rams, or are you going to decide it here or leave us with a deadlock? I'm sure Kevin will not pick the 49ers, but I'm interested to hear if it's going to be tied 2-2 or if you're going to veer another way. Who are you picking to win the NFC West with a third of the season to go?
So I don't have it up. I was going to pull it up. I did pull it up in time, but I wanted to know who the Seahawks beat in the division and who they lost to. I know they beat you guys, and they also beat Arizona.
Oh,
Yep,
they lost to the Rams.
And they lost. That's it.
They lost to us too. We beat them before.
So I thought they had 2 wins in the division. Maybe not. Okay.
Well, yeah, they do have the 2 wins in the division. They beat us the last week, and then they beat the Cardinals yesterday.
Yeah, and you guys already played them twice.
Yeah, we already played them.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I like Seattle. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm riding the Geno train. Seattle is a team that I saw go toe-to-toe with the Detroit Lions. Mind you, if you look at the box score, yes, Detroit, they won by a good margin. Nothing like crazy, like 40 points, no, but like they won by a good margin. But I watched that game, and I kid you not, if that Seattle Seahawks team shows up moving forward, where Geno had a ton of yards, they had a ton of opportunities. More often than not, they just shot themselves in the foot when it comes to their defense. Big time. That's the Seattle Seahawks team that I believe in. I don't think that they're going to just keep being quiet when it comes to that offense. They have too much firepower. I think out of the entire division right now, outside of the Rams, like they come second when it comes to talent on offense. You guys have CMC, who again he missed 9 weeks, 8 or 8. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we all like McCaffrey, guys. We do, but we got to call it what it is. There's a reason why he missed that many weeks. Okay, we don't know if he's back yet or not. He's probably still gonna be really good because was extremely good. So no, I don't think he's gonna be like a nobody. But like we don't really know. I mean, that your guys' whole offensive scheme might have changed because you had Jordan Mason forever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you guys are going to stick with what you're doing right now and not really go back to what you guys are known for the past year and in some weeks of having pretty much just a year of having CMC. So like I trust Seattle's offense more. I like their skill players more. It seems like there's a cloud in San Fran right now when it comes to the offense, whether it's because of injuries, whether it's because Debo's just sticking up every once in a blue moon, and CMC's putting up 30 yards on the ground rushing in a game, no matter who's in that quarterback. You would never think that's ever gonna be a thing. So like I would like to say San Fran, just because I think Khalil made a good point. You guys are you're the most battle tested, and I'm a firm believer in if you've been there before, you don't need everything to be perfect to make it happen again. It's all about poise down the stretch. It ain't about who's healthy and who's in that quarterback and how many yards they put up, in from week 10 to 17. It ain't about that. Are you getting wins? That's all that matters. Are you getting wins? Do you know how to win when adversity hits? Because as the season progresses, especially in the playoffs, it ain't about who looked pretty in the regular season. It's about which team knows how to close games. That's it. And you look at the Chiefs. That's what they've been doing all season long. You'd want to be more like that, and they haven't been playing well, as everybody can tell with Mahomes' performance this season. But I would take that all day, winning games when it matters the most, over winning some games where, some teams are playing against, I think you said the word cupcake teams, where it's like, yeah, you should put up 40 points, man. Like, I don't want that. I would hate that. I want to beat good teams. If I'm beating good teams like that, which nobody really is right now, then we can talk. But that's not how the NFL works. So I'm gonna stick with the Seattle Seahawks, man. I think that the Seahawks, again, they're winning in ways when they do win that I like it. And I think that they're going to be a scary team to play down the stretch, especially if they go on a small streak here. So I think Seattle finds a way to solidify their what I think is rightful place at the top of the division, because Arizona looks good right now, but they're not gonna keep going with just Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray. They'll get figured out. And you guys are, unfortunately, kind of a slower start. You're just like the Miami Dolphins, man. I think the Dolphins compete possibly for that division, possibly. But right now, you look at the Bills, it's like, well, the Bills have had a healthy season all season long. Dolphins, you were in shambles without Tua for a while. Tyreek Hill, wrist a little banged up. Devin A-Chain, I think, missed a game or two. Don't quote me on that. And even their backup, Mostert's missed, I think, a game or two, which is a big deal. They use everybody. So you guys are the same way. If you guys did not have these early injuries, you guys are probably sitting in a different position. But it is what it is. I'm going to stick with the Seahawks.
I think that's a pretty solid pick, just because the Seahawks had a great start to the season, starting 3-0, and then they kind of
lost. They lost like 3 straight, I think.
Yeah, they just had a big dip, and some of those losses were really good losses. You mentioned the Lions game earlier, and so the one bad loss for them during that streak was against the Giants, but just shit happens sometimes, and so that it'll be interesting to see, and I'm glad that we all can unanimously agree that the Rams are going to win the division. And if they do, hey, old takes exposed. Come after us here on Stats Over Politics. As we are going to close things out here on episode number 124 with our speedy Week 12 NFL recap. So for those of you who may be new to the program, we each have a minute to recap a game, and we shall start things off with our guest, Mr. Khalil Alston, as the Browns beat the Steelers 24-19. What did you think of that game, Khalil?
I watched that game. That game was actually entertaining, kind of, but I didn't expect the Browns to win it. I think, George Pickens said, it was the weather, but this is the NFL. You can't use that as an excuse. But it was a good victory for them, and I think they could build off of it. It's not going to do much, but it was a good victory.
Toddy, Baker Mayfield. That was a poor execution, but he stole Tommy DeVito's signature celebration as the Buccaneers beat the Giants 30-7.
Yeah, this was an ass kicking. Bucky Irving. A lot of people didn't really know who he was before the season started, but if you know ball, you would know that he went to Oregon. He balled out, and he was that guy at Oregon. Mike Evans came back in this game. He, showed some good signs. Mr. DeVito, he was getting his ass kicked the entire game. If you would have watched some of the hits they took in this game, it was really bad. And then Malik Neighbors' all-time interview in the locker room, he was like, I wasn't getting the ball until it was 30-0. So ask Brian Daboll about the play call. Yeah, it's an entire shit show in New York right now. And for both teams, I would say, the Jets and the New York Giants. But, just right now, it just doesn't look good for New York football.
Not at all. And Kaz, the reigning, defending, back-to-back Super Bowl champion Chiefs rebounded from their first loss of the season as they beat the Panthers in Carolina 30-27. You're still muted, Kaz, on our end.
He was going to turn off.
Yeah, I got you, my man. No, I'm surprised that I'm surprised by the score. I mean, the Panthers battled. They won. Chiefs won by a field goal at the end. Harrison Butker. That's just the Chiefs this year, man. I don't like them because I know what's going to happen in the playoffs. I know they're not playing good all season long, and they're still winning games, and they're playing down to the level of some of their opponents and keeping these games close. But at the end of it all, you're seeing what's happening. Mahomes and the Chiefs find a freaking way to win another game. But this is a game that they were supposed to win. So I don't really care about the score. It could have been 54-53 they win against the Panthers. You know what I'm saying? Or it could have been 6-9. They were going to beat the Panthers. They should have beat the Panthers. Shout out to the Panthers for battling, though. I mean, that was one of those games where, the spread was crazy and the Panthers definitely covered. So just one of those games, a Vegas trap game. That's all. Panthers didn't win. They weren't supposed to win, but covering that spread definitely lost a lot of people some money. So,
Khalil, I'm going to toss this one to you as the Dolphins beat the Patriots 34-15.
Yeah, they did what they're supposed to do. Not really surprising. The Patriots are having a less than ideal season, and Tua's just getting his groove back. So I feel like that was a morale boost for them, and everything should be going smooth sailing until they play us. So let's see.
Toddy, in the NFC East, the Cowboys pull off a shocker as they go into DC and beat the Commanders 34-26.
Yeah, this was a kind of a back and forth game down the end of the stretch. Turpin had that insane punt return, I think it was. He did like a crazy spin move and was down the sideline. Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin. I guess we're going to be hearing that for years to come. Down the sidelines, I mean, he was a sensational type of play. It was probably one of the crazier plays of the entire day. Probably the craziest play of the entire day. And then for it only to be just absolutely, gut checked when the kicker misses the extra point. I mean, you saw that play and you're like, they're going to do it again, aren't they? They had the Hail Mary earlier in the year. And then you see Terry McLaurin's running down the sideline, 80-yard touchdown pass. And then you're like, they're going to win in overtime. It's going to be a crazy, insane play that, happened again to the Commanders for it only to be ripped out to have that extra point change. That was insane play. I wasn't watching too much of that game because I was heavily invested financially into the Bears game. I'm pretty sure Shaun will let me talk about that game, but I saw all the stuff like on Twitter. I was like, bro, what the fuck is going on in the Commanders game? And I was like, bro, Terry McLaurin just tied the game up, and then like he missed the extra point. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? So yeah, great, insane game. The Cowboys, they needed the win bad.
Yeah, Austin Seibert was the name, or Seibert, however you pronounce his last name, was a kicker for Washington. And I saw a post of a photo of him and his daughter, like on the sideline at the game, and someone quoted it and said, "Don't worry, you're going to get to spend much more time with your dad going forward." That's what we call a cold world. Kaz, in the AFC South, the Titans beat the Texans 32-27.
This was me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my internet spiked out. You said Texans game?
Yeah, the Titans beat the Texans 32-27.
Yeah, that's freaking bullshit. That's what that is. Hey, no, for real, man. I noticed throughout the season, I was like, okay, the Texans are low-key not good this year. And you can blame injuries. It's fine. But, like, they're in a very weak division right now. And they're winning their division. But this isn't. It's not really impressive. And this game just screamed trap. It just really did. It was between this game and the Panthers Chiefs game where I was like, something weird's going to happen here. Something very weird's going to happen. And so just seeing how the game played out, we really had a really good game. Levis played well. Tony Pollard played very well. And then the Texans just didn't, but they did. They didn't, but they did. It just was all around just one of those games where it's like it's a division game, and they allowed the Titans to be in the position that they were in, and it came down to the wire, and they executed, man. I don't understand how. I don't understand why, but this Texans team is looking like chopped liver when it comes to the playoffs. Unless something turns around drastically for them, this is a really bad loss. This is a loss that they don't want on their record, even though they're still going to win their division, like most likely. This is a loss that they don't want on the record. So the Texans are vulnerable. I think that they were a little bit exposed even further than what they already were this season. There's a lot of excuses for C.J. Stroud, again, not having Nico Collins for a few weeks, losing Stephon Diggs, et cetera, et cetera. But Joe Mixon, he's been balling out this season. The Texas defense hasn't been playing terrible this season for the most part, if I'm not mistaken. You're sitting at 7-5 in a division you should sweep. Just not a good look. So I think the Texans are starting to look a little foolish right now, and this game was one of those ones that I think exposed them.
I think you nailed that. And Khalil, the NFC North leading Lions beat the Colts from that AFC South 24-6.
Not surprising. They went out there and did what they were supposed to do. I actually enjoy watching them play. The running backs are actually, I feel like they're the best duo in the league, and it's actually enjoyable to watch. And they execute. They execute on both sides of the ball. They can play defense. They play offense, and they went out there and did what they're supposed to do.
They certainly did. And another team from the NFC North that handled business like they were supposed to was the Minnesota Vikings, who won in overtime 30-27 against your Bears, Toddy. The Bears.
So I was financially invested into this game. I had the Lions minus 7.5, as most of the country did. That hit. I also had, I'm trying to think who the other team that I had the Bucks, just threw them on money line. The Bucks, that was easy. And I took the Bears money line. Kind of going back and forth in the game. I thought Caleb looked really good in this game. I thought he played well. The Vikings, Jordan Addison just went off. They were not able to stop him because they could try to take away Justin Jefferson. I feel like they did for the most part of the game. But Jordan Addison torched them. Aaron Jones, Khalil's old running back, I think he scored a touchdown. It was like the first time a running back scored a touchdown for the Vikings in like several weeks. I got angry. I turned the game off. I'm not gonna lie. The Bears got down. It was like 24-10, and I was just like, they're not gonna come back. The Bears score late. I'm like, okay, they score. Like, I already made another parlay. Like, I was just like, it is what it is. The new rule is you have to report the onside kick so everyone knows that's coming. And I'm just like, okay, like no one's gotten an onside kick at all this year, so why would the Bears get an onside kick? They recover the onside kick, and I was like, holy shit, do we have what's going on here?
Three
Bang, bang,
of 36. I'll just add that stat because I heard it during Monday Night Football. 3 of 36 teams are converting the onside kick this year.
Okay,
So one of the 3.
They drove down and got in field goal range. I'm like, oh shit. Remember the last time the Bears kicked a meaningful the kick got blocked. I'm like, this shit's gonna happen again, isn't it? It's gonna happen again. There's no way. I couldn't watch.
Or the doink.
So watch this for me. I'm gonna go in the other room. I said, I'm screaming, did he kick it? He was like, yeah. Just didn't say anything. Just like, yeah, he kicked it. Did he make the field goal? Yes or no? Oh, yeah, it went good. It's good. And I'm like, oh, God, thank Jesus. We're going into overtime. The Niner game has started, by the way. I'm not watching the Niner game at all. Like, the game has started already. It's going into overtime.
Yeah,
I'm not investing in the Niners right
You didn't
now.
miss much.
Go into overtime. I'm like, okay, he's going to call tails because obviously tails never fails. He calls tails, it's heads. I'm like, oh shit, the Bears are getting the ball in overtime. Like, bro, he's gonna get a chance. They're gonna drive down, they're gonna score. I'm gonna win money, and we're gonna be good. I'm gonna put on the Eagles. We're going to be good. Everything's going to be all right. I had the plan. You know when you already have money plan, like you already know how you're gonna spend the money. Like
Chicago
you
Fire.
haven't won yet, but you're like, this is gonna hit. I'm gonna do this with it. I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna take a little bit away from myself, and then I'm gonna spread it. I'm gonna spread it all around. So I start doing that. Bears get the ball in overtime. Ball start, offense, 5-yard penalty. I'm like, okay, that's not a great start. Caleb holds the ball for too long, gets sacked. It's like 2nd and 25. I'm like, okay, this is happening. They go 3 and out. Give the ball to Sammy D. And I'm like, all right, it's Sam Darnold. Maybe he might try to turn the ball over. He goes 90 yards. 6 for 6. They kick the field goal to win the game. I'm like, hey, you know, I got an egg on my face. I bet the Bears again. Why did I do it? I just knew the Bears were going to pull it out this week. Why would they lose? I got an egg on my face.
Caleb's the best quarterback in the league.
I sent Kevin the parlay before the day started. He said, why the fuck would you bet the Bears? Why? So they're gonna win. What do you mean?
I've been asking that question in my head to you, bro, since the day that Caleb Williams was drafted.
I said
he's the best quarterback in the league, Cass.
Why wouldn't I do it, right? I should have just took the spread. 3.5. We would have won. You wouldn't have gotten your heart broken. So now I'm looking at Thursday Night Football. Who do the Bears play? Oh, they play the Lions. Lions are 10.5-point favorites. God, help me.
Stay away from this game, brother. Please. Just stay away, please.
Best quarterback in the league.
Khalil, I never said it was the best quarterback in the league. I never said that.
You said top 15.
Top 15 is crazy. That's still saying the best quarterback in the league.
He's teetering. He's playing better than he was before. But all in all, in this game, I was financially invested in this game, and I got my heart broken. Again, the Bears. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. I don't even know if Bears fans have more faith than I do.
I'm from the Midwest. You already know. I'm born and raised in Illinois. They're not having a good time, bro. But they ain't betting on. No, they ain't doing what you're doing. They ain't that crazy around here. They're not doing that. But they are mad.
It's a sickness. I need to get it treated.
Bears fans, they know better. They have been through enough misery over the years. Toddy is just getting a taste of it.
I don't know why I do this to myself. I gotta stop doing it.
Hey man, you're the same guy who said 2+ years ago that Caleb Williams was a top 15 quarterback in the NFL today without ever playing a snap.
He also said he's better than CJ Stroud. So,
and I'll just leave that. Hey, he stands on business. I respect it. I'll leave that for another day. Kaz, if you could compose yourself and talk about this AFC West matchup as the Broncos beat the Raiders 29-19.
Yeah, I mean, just another game expected. Broncos are, I believe you said you're sitting with some egg on your face. I'm doing the same thing when it comes to I've trashed the Broncos all season long. I've talked so down on Bo Nix all season long. I'm like, this guy's not good. This guy is not good. The only correct game that I called like confidently about the Broncos losing was when they played the Ravens. I said that they're going to get smoked by like almost 40, and they almost did. Other than that, the Broncos have been balling out. They have a really good defense. Their offense, their offense, like, I don't know how they do it. Cortland Sutton's now a guy again out of nowhere. I don't fucking know. They're winning games, man. And like, if you watch the games, they're doing it in a way where it's like, it's kind of like comfortable. It's not like, it's like, oh God, the Broncos are getting lucky and just things are happening for them. Like, no, they're making shit happen. But I mean, they're playing the Raiders, one of the worst teams in the league, definitely the worst team in that division. They did what you're supposed to do in that situation, and that is, this is not a good team. don't let off the gas pedal. Go out there and win this game handily. So, yeah, been dead wrong. And Grey Wolf knows he's somebody from my streaming community. He's a Broncos fan. I've been shitting on Bo Nix. I don't have my camera. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you. You just cut out for just a moment, Kaz, and just for the audio only listeners, what Kaz was saying is Grey Wolf, a loyal listener on Kaz's stream, Kazzy Bear TV, as he said at the beginning of the show, I've been waiting to highlight these comments that he said right when we first got started with the stream. Grey Wolf said, "Broncos country, let's ride. I'm just happy we have a better record now in comparison to the last 8 years." And he says, "Trust the progress and don't get fancy with it."
I'm a believer.
And that, no, I kind of have to be now. So, I mean, just to kind of keep it brief, sorry about that camera hiccup. But, yeah, just the Broncos they're a solid team. They're the kind of team, they're like they're a weird team where it's like, I just would rather stay away from you when you guys end up making the playoffs, because they keep playing the way that they do. They're probably going to make the playoffs. Like, they're going to be like a 7 seed or something weird.
Play the Browns next week. You betting the Broncos, Cass?
They are playing them.
That's right.
They're in. Yeah, hell yeah. No, the Browns aren't going on a streak. They're losing. So the Broncos are winning for sure. I'm not. Hey, Jameis is doing his thing, bro, and it's fun to watch. It's cool.
Jameis.
You know what I'm saying? Jameis, he's that guy. You know what I'm saying? But let's just call it what it is. He gonna put up buckets on the best teams in NFL.
That game's in Denver.
Any team less than a number 1 seed potentially, he's going to shit the bed. So yeah, Broncos all day next week for sure. But yeah, Bo Nix is. I gotta shut up. Okay, I gotta shut up. The dudes. I'm not gonna pull you and keep doing things that don't make sense. Okay, they're good. I'm no longer talking about them. All right, just like you should stop betting on the Bears, Toddy. Please, my brother. From me to you, I need for you to stop. All right, so I'm gonna stop trashing the Broncos. You're gonna stop betting on the Bears, and we're gonna go to bed happy every Sunday night. I promise if we do that. So Broncos are a good team, and they handled those Raiders. So yeah, not surprised.
Toddy, if you could close us out with this last game. It was the game that we just watched on Monday Night Football. And for the audio-only listeners, we have a comment from our Instagram stream where Big Smooth says, "Chargers are, in all caps, banned from all parlays." And Toddy, you had a bit of a reaction when I displayed that on the screen. So if you could just harp on that comment a little bit, but also just take us through the Ravens beating the Chargers 30-23 in the battle of the Harbaughs.
I was getting cursed out by a friend who was a Chargers fan and said, "Never pick the Chargers ever again. You are horrendously bad luck." I just liked the way that the Chargers were playing. Like, they were playing good. And then, the Ravens came to town. They kind of got spanked. Lamar Jackson, who was also on my fantasy team, showed out. I thought he was accurate with the ball. He made plays with his legs. Derrick Henry made plays. Justice Hill had a 50-yard run. Zay Flowers, they were getting him involved. I just think that early on, the Chargers were able to get stops. Not so much later on in the game. And they weren't really able to move the ball down the field as much. John Harbaugh went for it. I feel like the turning point in the game is right before halftime. They went for it on 4th down, like on their side of, like, they're on their 20-yard line. And they end up bing, bang, boom, driving down the field. Lamar hits Bateman down the sideline for a touchdown right before the half. I feel like that kind of swung the momentum of the game. I get the Chargers ended up scoring a field goal right before halftime to make it a 17-16 game. But I feel like just kind of after that, the Ravens just were able to control the pace of the game. They were able to get stops, and they were able to score. And that's pretty much the nature of the beast. And, the Jim Harbaugh is 0-2 against his brother in the NFL. 0-2 or 0-3. Oh, they did lose that Thanksgiving game. I forgot about that game. Yeah. Thank you, Shaun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the Ravens are a team that we all expect to be, like we all said multiple times on the podcast, that they're a top 5 team in the AFC. And I mean, this was a game that they had to have. They just, coming off a loss against a brutal loss where they didn't score a touchdown against Pittsburgh. And tonight I feel like they wanted to flex their muscles a little bit and be able to score. And they put up a bunch of points against a really good team. Who I think the Chargers are a playoff team. And they made a statement win tonight in LA.
They did make a statement tonight in LA. And as Grey Wolf says, big bro beats little bro. It's the hierarchy. Jim got to sit at the kiddie table again. Maybe Jim will eventually get back at him for beating him in the Super Bowl, much to Toddy and I's dismay. So that is going to do it for episode number 124 of Stats Over Politics. Khalil, we appreciate you for joining us. Before you go, can you tell the audience where to find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, all the same thing. As for the audio-only listeners, _ KFADEIT, K-Faded on Instagram and Twitter, all that, or X, as they call it. And I got one more thing off topic. The Kings stink.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was really gonna try not to talk about that with the Clippers loss.
I definitely had OKC tonight. Just wanted to let y'all know, so it's not a surprise to you guys.
You stink. Malik, come back. I mean,
the Kings lost by like 20 plus tonight at home against the Thunder, but hey, at least it was the Thunder's first win in Sacramento in 4 years. They hadn't won in Sacramento since January 2020, so I guess that was a good stat until tonight. Kaz, we appreciate you as always for joining us. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Kazzy Bear TV on Instagram, on Twitter, and if you're into streamers, Kazzy Bear TV on Twitch as well. And if you are into fitness, I always plug my fitness channel, SSJ Kazzy Bear on Instagram. So I do my fitness business. So if you trying to get right in that area, you know where to find me.
Yeah, for the audio-only listeners, Khalil joined us today at the gym. So we know that Khalil is getting swollen. We appreciate you for joining us at the gym, Khalil. Toddy, any parting thoughts for our audience?
I'm thinking about taking the Bears plus 10.5. I can't, bro. It's too many points.
Oh, my God.
Brother, hang it up.
We'll see where we're at. Thursday,
brother,
a lot of games going on. It's Thanksgiving, a lot of games. We'll see where we're at.
Don't do it.
Day. We'll see what the mood's like.
You just aged me 10 more years, brother. I ain't got much time left, man. You got to chill out, bro.
We'll see.
Matter of fact, put a parlay in for the Packers.
We
playing Sunday night. Thursday night. Last game, you know.
I might do that because Tua's
watching games, you know.
He's atrocious in cold weather games. You guys are favored by 3.5. I like that.
Khalil, I might be asleep by then if the tryptophan from the turkey gets to me.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll have to drink some caffeine or something like that. Stay up for that game through the caffeine. But we appreciate you all for joining us as always. Shout out to Grey Wolf for all the comments and for tuning in. Says W stream, W content, W collab. We appreciate you, Grey Wolf. You're a big W as well. And so that's going to do it for episode 124 of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. If you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics and on X at Stats or Politics. See all the great content Kevin's putting out there. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode number 124 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Kaz Johnson, Khalil Alston, and Kevin Dent, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next Monday on another episode of Stats Over Politics. Peace.